And okay, minutes. Let's see. So we could put up, Tom, the agenda, and and let me just begin by calling the meeting to order at 7:02, and welcome everyone. I do have some substance actually to the president's report. And the first and most important item is that the San Francisco Giants are playing tonight in Thursday night football. I will not reveal the score again, but it is at about halftime. And so we'll have every reason to want to make this meeting as efficient as possible.
Thursday night football. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Thursday night football. So the 2 points of substance are that we will have important business coming up for the society within the next few months. One of these important businesses will be the orderly transition of leadership for our beloved journal, Calafia, as Fred and Juliet are getting towards the end of their expected term, and we want to plan for the leadership, both as the publisher and the editor-in-chief, and we do plan to make some overlap. We also need to plan for the financial support and funding for Calafia. And for the general membership, I want to say that we'll be having a special meeting of our board coming up within the next few weeks. I will be convening that. We will brainstorm the idea and then come back to the general membership with a plan. We will also be looking for additional new blood to take over leadership positions of the society, and we'll be coming back to the general membership about that as well. And finally, it needs to be some housekeeping in our bylaws. There are some old and outdated and cumbersome features, and we'll be wanting to clean those up. So that's the business that we have planned, some substantive business plan for the coming year. Now, I don't see that Ken Habib is on yet. No. Okay, so we will defer the minutes from the June 4th meeting, and may I call upon John Fleming for the treasurer's report.
All right.
Hold on just a second, John. Let me go.
Yeah, Tom is pulling up my report for me.
Which one do you want? Both?
Net assets. No, just one. I'm only dealing with one, the one that says.
Okay, hold on just a second.
It's treasurer's report, right?
Yeah.
Not the other one. The other one is something else. That's it. So next page. This is our net assets. Cash. We've been in a strong cash position for many, many years. At the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30, 2023 here, we have about 27,000 in cash, 14,000 and change unrestricted, 12,008 is restricted. So our contributions to the education fund are specifically restricted to payments to Stanford University, who administers the fund and makes all the ultimate payments in terms of the expenses. So the only thing we can spend the 12,008 on are payments to Stanford. And at this point in time, we've made, I think as of this date, we've made one payment to Stanford, and we've subsequently made another, but I'll get back to that. So we have at this date 27,000 in cash, and then we have some other stuff, some prepaid expenses and accounts payable. We paid our Wild Apricot subscription for 2 years in advance because it's cheaper, and every dollar counts to us because we have a relatively small revenue base, and we have a little bit of accounts payable. We had a lot more last year. So from a net asset standpoint, from a cash standpoint, we've gone down to $7,000 plus. It's not been quite so bad when you consider some of the other stuff like the accounts payable. So we're down a bit. Our operating margin was minus $3,300 this year, and that's really the biggest thing going here. So, could you move to the next page, Tom? This is our revenues, and this is what we spend money on. We have our revenue base is just a bit under $7,000. Not a great deal of money here, but 7,000. So small amounts are actually pretty significant to us. We have 224 members, but of those, we just have 178 who are annual dues payers because we have life members and some courtesy members. In terms of our cost, our single biggest cost is Califia, which net of in that Califia amount, 58.78 is net of subscription, some promotional advertising, and it's also net of individual people who've contributed to that, but it's 58% of our total cost. We don't really spend a whole lot of money on anything else. These are really small amounts that you see up there. So ultimately, it all comes around to Califia, and we're all going to sort through what our options are there. Can you go to the next page?
Yep, hold on a second. We just were joined by Min, who was one of our speakers at our last meeting.
Okay, so Califia, where we are this last year, we spent about $8,800. We have $1,700 in advertising. We had donations specifically directed to Califia of 1,225, and that's the net of 58.78. And as Ron said, we're going to meet and go through and come up with a decision. There's a variety of things and directions that we can go. But any event, those are the kinds of things that we could consider. You want to go to, so does anybody have any questions on that before I move, I think, to what the last page is?
Yes, I have questions.
Sure.
Am I recognized?
Yeah, yes, go ahead, please.
You're
Larry.
recognized.
Okay. I am a life member and Juliet's a life member. That was $1,000. Instead of using the money that we've paid and money that other people have paid for increasing the value, financial value of the society, it was thrown into the general fund, it appears to me, instead of raising the dues and finding more responsible ways of getting money and conserving the annual dues. And I feel that I just heard an implication that the life memberships are somehow inhibiting the financial success. I'd like you to address this. It's a lot of money to be giving, and then finding out that now it's looking as if it's some kind of burden.
It's absolutely not a burden. We have 2 or 3 new life members every year. So it's $500 per life member. So we have an additional $1,000 or $1,500 every year.
But if you spend that money instead of raising the dues or doing other responsible things, basically that's really a one-time shot.
But by the way, we did that, Len, when you were president, and we've done it over the history of the society. So this is not something that started 5 minutes after you stepped down as president. This is
Well, I'm happy to hear that because I never knew about it when I was president, but that's okay. but I think that has to be reevaluated. If somebody signs up for a life membership in the future, maybe there would be some way to make that money be important for supporting the society instead of just spending it, instead of asking everybody to be responsible.
Okay, Len, I think that's a very worthy suggestion. When we have our upcoming board meeting, we will be sure to consider that. And the dues structure and the structure for life membership will all be on the table. Thank you.
Everything's on the table, that's right. Next
Any-
page, I'll go
Yeah.
on. Any other questions, comments? Education fund. What we have is all of our payments and all of our costs are paid for by Stanford. We agreed in advance in our contract that we would pay $25,000. And what you see is our schedule when we make those payments. And we've made the first two payments at this point, the 5 plus the 5. So we've already paid 10,000. In terms of, and we cover and fund this entirely through member donations. And what we have so far is we've received 17,600 in donations. We have pledge receivables outstanding, remaining pledges receivable outstanding. Payments have been made through this 3,300. And based on who's made the pledges and the amounts, that 3,300 is pretty solid in terms of collecting. So we've received at this point in time $20,900. So we're about $4,100 short. So we've essentially paid for 2023, 24, 25, and 26, and only about 20% of 2027 here. So we paid most of this, but we have $4,100 left to go. So John, you're out there. I see you in the middle there. We should be able to cover that pretty easily here. So in pretty good shape relative to the Stanford program. Any questions relative to the Stanford program?
Okay, so I want to thank John for his very thorough report. Any questions for our hardworking treasurer?
Yes, I have one more question. Are we still having a annual independent speaker that is being funded somehow?
Well, John, you mean relative to the education fund? John, do you want to address Lynn's question? Yeah, John Jablonski.
Yeah, that is that the author talk is not part of the new MOU. The MOU is about the curation contest and the hosting the Northern California meeting every year annually. So it will be hosted 5 times at no cost at the Rumsey Center.
I'm confused. Are you having an annual author event that's independent of?
No, Len, we are
else?
not.
Oh, okay.
No, we are not. That is not part of the new agreement.
Okay, but is that been done in the last? I remember when Ron became president, we had a speaker that was costing about $3,000. Has that continued?
It has not. No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. John, thank you for your report. Seeing no further questions, we'll move to John Jablonski for the election results.
Yes, the election was conducted. We felt it would be best, the bylaws let the board add at-large members, and we thought it was a good idea to let the membership validate the 2 at-large members for the next year. So that would be Fred and our new board member, Emily Yang. Yang, is that right? Her last
That's
name?
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Sorry. She's not available tonight. I think she's traveling, actually. So the big thing is, everybody ran uncontested. The 2 at-large members were validated. And if I remember correctly, when I checked today, I think it was 42 members logged on to the website and went ahead and voted during the uncontested election. So hopefully next year we're able to recruit again, rotate some new people on the board. There's a vacancy, VP for IT. So that's primarily someone who's responsible for the Wild Apricot account and the website, which is hosted by Wild Apricot. I'm doing some of those duties right now in the absence of David Califon. And I've met with Emily. She's pretty tech savvy as well, but that's a vacancy we're going to need to fill. And I think, as we talked about the editor roles at Calafia, we're going to need to recruit for those as well.
John,
Go ahead.
comment for the benefit of the non-board members at this meeting, and also for the minutes. I think it'd be a good idea to actually list the people that were elected as directors.
Oh yeah, sure. I can totally do that for the minutes. I will try and do it verbally here. Ron will be serving as president for 1 more year. Tom Paper as Northern California vice president. Courtney Scarborough. Oh, not Scarborough. Courtney.
Spikes.
Courtney
Spikes.
Spikes.
She might like Scarborough though. That's
Courtney Spikes, Southern California vice president. John Fleming another year as treasurer. Ken Nagin. Ken Habib as secretary. And I am an unelected board member as past president. Did I miss anybody?
Trish.
Fred at large, Emily at large, and Juliet ex officio as the editor of the journal.
And Trish.
And Trish as VP for membership. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay.
And I will add those to the minutes. I apologize. I didn't actually think to list those out.
Right. Thank you. So now we'll go to the VP reports. David Califon, after many years of service, has stepped down. John Jablonski, you've filled in. Any additional report?
I know the board voted in June to change that dues structure, but it sounds like we're rethinking that. So I went in today and looked at what changes would need to be done to change the dues. It's something that I can do in 10 minutes. So as soon as we're really firm up that decision, I can go ahead and or we can set an activation date for any new dues structure we want to implement, and then I can make that change on the fly on whatever date we select.
Thank you. Okay, membership. Trish Caldwell said she's not able to attend tonight, and Fred is going to fill in some of the membership committee reports.
Tom, I'd like to share my screen. Here's the fall lineup of membership. My count is 227, a little bit different than John's, just because I've optimistically included 3 members who I think are going to pay. They're behind right now, but they haven't paid yet. So my count is 227. As you can see, we've had a reduction in membership, pretty dramatic actually, from 2020, although I should include a footnote that we had a big effort in 2020 to gift memberships. That added 12. Also, there's reason for some of the reduction. We've intentionally reduced the number of courtesy members, and the introduction of fees for students did have a significant impact on the number of students who have chosen to remain members, paid members. One thing that I'm pleased about is that over the last 2 or 3 years, we've increased our percentage of paid memberships to 93% this year. That's up a good 20 percentage points from 4 years ago.
Sorry, what does that mean, Fred?
Well, at one time we had, I thought, an inordinate number of courtesy memberships. So now with students, retired, active, patron, and life members, that represents 90% of our membership base.
And you're saying it used to be our paid members was like 70%?
That's true. It was right around 73%. So we had a significant number of courtesy memberships, and
So we
we
could have more paid memberships today than we did in 2020 in absolute numbers.
yeah, I haven't looked at that.
Yeah, I think it would be really close. Yeah. As a reminder, the courtesy members, I think, are primarily people who've spoken at a conference and are gifted a 12-month membership. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And we were very generous with leaving those people on the rolls. Yeah, I agreed that it was very necessary to clean that up.
Yeah.
Incidentally, the 17 courtesy memberships, that's a little misleading because I just recently added 7 speakers
Yeah.
to the courtesy group. So it was actually for quite some time this year was courtesy members were about 10.
Okay. Fred, please
yep.
go on.
Any questions on the charts? Okay. Here's the geographic distribution of our memberships. 7 reside outside the U.S. I think our highest number of international members was 8. Our membership, if I see a shift at all, it's including some minor increases in the Western states and some increases in the Midwest. Here's a look at our membership in 2022 and 2021. That's concludes my report.
Fred has done a yeoman-like job herding everyone in and getting dues. So Fred, thank you very much for all the work that you've done over many years in the membership committee. Trish was unavoidably detained and is not able to attend. Let's go to publications, Juliet and Fred again.
Okay, Fred, do you want to be first or should I?
Would you like something on the screen or you just want to speak right now?
Why don't I speak and then
Okay.
you can share the screen. Okay. Our fall edition is being printed and Fred will be sharing that with you. We have the spring edition in pretty good shape already. We're going to be having maps on stamps as our theme. And we already have a lot of other people wanting to write for us. I reflected a lot after our last meeting on what I thought I could or wanted to do or should do. And I realized that in fall 2024, I will have been the editor for a decade. And if it is acceptable to the board, I'd like to finish out my decade. So that would mean my continuing to be editor through the Stamps edition in the spring. And then the fall 2024 edition will be Globes. And we've already got a few articles for that edition also. And then if this will work out for the board, I would like to retire as editor. I think that's a change of adding one edition. I had been asked to stay on at least through spring. So it is up to the board to decide whether that's okay. But I hope it will be, because I'd like to finish the decade. Anyway, Calafia's doing well. It's a lot of fun to do. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding, and I have enjoyed doing it very much. And Fred will share the details of our current edition of Calafia, which you'll be receiving very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet. I really appreciate what you do.
Yeah, Juliet, may we say that you've put all of your skills as well as your heart and your guts into it. And hard to believe that the decade is almost up, and we will honor your wishes. And that means that the society now has a very firm deadline, and we need to be working on that orderly transition. Thank you. Fred?
I'll go ahead and share my screen again.
He prepared a wonderful screen for you. Wait till you see. This is our current edition.
Mm.
Well, you can tell that, you know, my goal is to make the journal as attractive visually as possible. And luckily, I've got a wonderful editor that provides such wonderful articles, and really that's the meat of the article. I mean, you know, it would just be a selection of photographs to be like Instagram or whatever. I had a little problem with the cover image. The printer, when I submitted the journal, he said, "Well, that's just not high enough resolution." So I had to go search for another image.
Is this the current issue?
I'm certainly happy with it. That's a crop of a map from Joe Kolko, who's written An Unhealthy Proximity, and it's really dramatic. That shows the number of oil and natural gas facilities within, I'm not sure which one this is, perhaps 1,000 feet of a school in the LA basin. So it really tells you very quickly, the image tells you just how pervasive the presence of petrochemicals are in the LA area and elsewhere in California.
To be clear, Fred, that's this fall, right? 2023?
This is this
Yeah.
fall, yeah.
It
Yes,
says
2023.
fall 2024.
Yeah, should have been 23. Yep.
23.
Speaking of speaking of all the oil wells, there's going to be a ballot measure, I think, next November, and the oil industry is already sending out stuff and all kinds of ads telling you how disastrous it will be if it passes, that we'll have to import all kinds of oil. and then says that there's no pipelines in California. California is got pipelines all over the place underground. And so be careful when you see these mailers coming. They're already pushing hard to get you all worried about the oil industry.
Oh, we know how we can trust the oil industry, Robert. Thank you.
It's absolutely true. I've already gotten some of those mailings.
Yeah, it comes from some company in San Rafael.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions for Juliet or Fred?
Oh, I've got a couple more slides.
Oh, I'm
go
sorry,
through.
Fred. We got there.
One thing I wanted to tell our members about is this issue includes 2 articles where we've been very happy to link up the article with Tom Paper's digital gallery. And while a reader is going through the journal and they have a smartphone by their side, they can take a scan of a QR code at the end of the article. And if they want more information, or if they want to be able to themselves to look at these wonderful maps in great detail, and of course that's one of the aspects of the digital gallery, is this ability to very quickly enlarge the image throughout the entire map, and something we're not able to do in a printed product. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this feature reacts, how the reaction to it from our membership.
I just gave it a test and it works fine. Congratulations to everyone.
Woohoo!
We did pick up a new advertiser this time around. We also Pixium Digital Gallery rejoined us, and one of our advertisers who has had a half-page map for the last 2 or 3 years has now upped the ante to full page, which I'm very happy about.
Well, that's lifeblood. Thank you.
Okay, and this is just a blurb on the upcoming spring 2024 issue, and here's a listing of some of the people that and they haven't all been confirmed, but this is part of the scope of the journal, besides the stamp articles that we'll be featuring in the spring journal.
While we're on the subject of transition, Tom Sander, if you're still on, could you unmute yourself and maybe tell us what's happening with the editorship of Portland from the Washington Map Society?
I am still here, and we're having quite a search. We've asked many very good people you would think of. We asked many of them already last spring when we thought we had finally settled into John Hessler as our editor. He suddenly had to back out in July, and I was asked to step back in. We've gone out with our search committee looking for folks. We have one candidate that I'm going to be interviewing in October. I can't give you a name as yet, but we'll see whether that works out. We have one other candidate as a possible. He's a little bit concerned that international travels might conflict, but indeed, I, over the many past years, have been able to do this from anywhere in the world where I happen to be with a laptop. You can keep articles flowing, you can keep reviews going, you can push the print button from anywhere in the world. So that's not such an issue. We hope to have someone, as I say, interviewed and selected by the end of October. But with my relocation to a senior living community early next year, I just have to focus on closing down a house of 35 years and moving things in. And so I have to change my focus, but things look good. We're committed to publish in 2024 our full year's worth of articles. We already have a good dose targeted for the spring issue, and the WMS board has agreed to shepherd it on through year 2024. If we cannot find a replacement sometime during 2024, there's always a consideration that we might have to stop publication. But we've seen that happen in Chicago with Mapline. They just decided to stop publication. And we too know that SHD is facing an editor change with Terra Incognita. Word is just out now that their editor wants to step down. So it's a big shift in the editorial world, and we hope that we can keep some of our good publications going. What Juliet and Fred have done has been tremendous with California. You guys are a wonderful, wonderful product out there. I'm so happy to receive it when I see it in the mail coming all the time. It gives me heart that if something should happen on the East Coast, somebody's keeping it going on the West Coast.
Tom,
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words and for the update from the Washington Map Society. So
I've got copies of Calafia or your newsletter that go way back to the days when Bill Warren was doing this kind of a 3-page fold-over document, and it's amazing the progress over the years for your publications.
yeah. Well, those words come from a longstanding editor. Thank you very much, Tom. Let's go to our future meetings regarding Southern California. Normally, we'd be having that meeting in the fall, but since we did not have the spring meeting until latter half of August, and because of some scheduling problems for Courtney, we're planning to have the Southern California meeting after the first of the year, and we do have some speakers lined up as well. Courtney had sort of a family emergency and needed to be flying this evening to the East Coast to take care of her dad. Next, Northern California, Tom.
Well, we had, I think, a good meeting on August 19th. This was the lineup, and I think people had a good time. It was Robert, how did you find out? How did you get connected with the California Map Society?
Nick Knass we're in a small discussion group, and he brought to my attention. And then I wrote an article in Calafa on lunar maps, and which I still owe Juliet a second part. I keep getting caught up in other things, but I'm the author of a book, and I have it here, called Luna Cognita.
Got it.
3 volumes on map. I do have a whole section on the maps, the lunar maps that have the lunar nomenclature on. And I've just been busy with other writing and such. And I need to get back to that article that I did, which is going to be from orthographic mapping to coordinate system.
Well, welcome. So the meeting was August 19th, and I'm catching my breath from that and starting to think about spring of 2024.
Thank you, Tom. The reason we had the delay, just for the record, is that we are having our Northern California meetings at the Rumsey Center, and it turned out that we had a conflict between our meeting and the Stanford graduation, so we had to move it till August. Okay, Tom, anything about the BAM that you wish to add, the Bay Area Map group?
No, I mean, look, we could have, I mean, the BAM meetings are pretty easy to have, so we might do one. Len, did I remember, did you want to host one?
I'm considering it.
Okay.
Well, we'll have to talk. We'll have to talk about it.
We can do it really easily. I mean, whether it's at Len's house or my house, we can spin it up in a month or so, and so maybe in November or
I was
early
thinking
December.
I was thinking of doing an old-fashioned one in which the local members would be encouraged to bring their maps, as well as
Yeah.
anybody that wants to put on a map who's on Zoom, and uh, have it as members and Zoomers' favorite maps or significant maps, rather than lectures. And so we'll see. I'll talk about it with Tom. The time would be important too, which I don't know how that's going to work out.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Tom. Neither.
Can I
Tracy-
just add something?
Yeah. Yeah, please, Tom, go ahead.
Well, I guess I just want to accentuate that I think our two biggest issues are driving membership and Calafia. Meaning finding people, not just one, but multiple people who are interested in that. And so I guess I'm kind of I'm getting to another business item, Ron. Do we have a plan to sort of have a regular cadence of sort of oversight meetings, especially about membership? Because I feel like if we have members, well, they're both important, right?
I will be calling a special board meeting within the next month, and the specified and focused issues will be those that I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting: leadership and financing of Calafia, leadership of the society, and membership. Okay. So we don't have a report about GLAM. I know they've been active, but neither Therese nor Courtney are here. The next
Ron,
item is,
sorry.
Yes.
I guess I just want to accentuate that I feel like we need to commit to a series of, like, it's not just one meeting that's going to get us over the hump here. We need to commit to regular, because time's going to get away from us. And it would be nice to have a small group of people who can meet monthly on these issues to make sure that we that things happen.
Yeah, we need,
would be my suggestion.
Yeah, we have a clear deadline. Things could get away from us, especially with lead time and planning. So I will take your opinion very valuably, Tom. Thank you. And I think maybe the first meeting will need to be a non-rushed meeting. So we'll go to the education fund report. John Jablonski, this has already been given in part. Do you have anything else to?
Financially, as John Fleming said, we're doing really well with the fundraising. I think I could wrap that up. I was hoping to wrap that up immediately after the August meeting. I did not get the attendee list in a timely fashion to make those phone calls. So as you with me, I'm running a little bit behind on that. I was really impressed with the August meeting, Tom. That was organized really well. And having that meeting be free and at the Rumsey Center is, and having the organizing help is the main benefit of that education fund. I did get a chance to see the exhibit in person a few weeks before the August meeting. And the new director of the Rumsey Center, Evan Thornberry, is great. I've known him for many years. And the digital components of the exhibition, I expect those to be getting put up in a more timely fashion under his leadership. So they were still working on the digital version of the first winner. I'm forgetting the name of the exhibit, and his name is
Vivek, Segmented Cities.
Segmented segmented cities. Yeah, and he had a couple of really nice examples. And I was really impressed by the interpretive materials that they came up with on the
Oh, Arjun,
on the
sorry.
walls of the center.
Arjun.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so bad with names. And then we got to hear him speak at the August meeting as well. So I was a little bit skeptical about that exhibit curating contest, but I think the first round worked out really well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the second round under Evan's leadership looks like.
Thank you. Thank you, John. So at this point, I'll ask whether there is any additional business that anyone wishes to bring up. Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment for the annual business meeting. And
So
Fred,
moved.
just stay on. So move. Tom, a second.
John gave us a thumbs up.
John, okay. All in favor, please grunt aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you for taking time from your evening. To the board members who are on, you will be getting a note from me in the next couple of days. Tom Sander, thank you for staying up into the late hours of the evening and for your contributions. And Robert, welcome. And I would like to thank everyone for their participation. Fred, if you could just stay on. Tom, can you stay on so I can?
Min, I loved your talk at the August meeting too, the open history maps. That's really good stuff.
Okay,
It
thank
was
you all.
good. It was great.
Good night.
Right.